Joining us now, NBC's Aaron Gilchrist reporting from Washington, D.C. Sam Stein is managing editor at The Bulwark. Aaron, give us the context of where this all stands between the president, Elon Musk, and who's in charge.
Yeah, Chris, I think the narrative you just went through really adds some color to what we've been seeing play out confusingly, to be honest, over the last several weeks. We've seen these executive orders and memos come from the White House, from the Office of Personnel Management, from OMB, that would seem to suggest that the agencies, the secretaries, needed to be doing these things to be in compliance with executive orders that the president signed. But in practice, we know that we've seen in so many cases Elon Musk and his DOGE team actually effectuating some of the changes that have been happening over the last several weeks. If you remember that email that went out, I think it was on a Saturday evening, to federal workers that said, you need to send us your list of 5 things, and then a post on social media from Elon Musk after that said these people could be essentially be fired. And then after that, we saw a lot of the federal agencies, State Department, FBI, others, saying, wait a minute, you don't have to reply to this email just yet. And so that, I think, was the first outward sign of this power struggle that we've seen. And now you have this meeting where the president says to the secretaries, hiring and firing is on you. I want you to keep the best people around and get rid of folks who don't need to be around, who are not mission critical, is the language that we've seen in some of these documents. I want you to hear a little bit more of what the president had to say after that meeting yesterday, and after he posted on his Truth Social site about making sure the secretaries are running the show.
I want the cabinet members to keep good people. I don't want to see a big cut where a lot of good people are cut. I want the cabinet members go first, keep all the people you want, everybody that you need. And it would be better if they were there for 2 years instead of 2 weeks, because in 2 years they'll know the people better. But I want them to do the best job they can. Elon and the group are going to be watching them. And if they can cut, it's better. And if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
Now, we've heard Chris Elon Musk say on more than one occasion now, we will make mistakes, and talking about his DOGE team and the work that they're doing, going through all the federal agencies and assessing their bookkeeping, assessing their staffing. He said, we will make mistakes and then we will correct them. You have to think that that's not something that's consistent with the way that President Trump typically talks about making mistakes and things of that nature. And we've seen where many people have been fired from different agencies, in some cases more than 100, and then have had to be rehired, something that you have to imagine the president is not a sort of mistake that President Trump would want to see happening, Chris. And so now this puts the hiring and firing, at least publicly, squarely in the hands of these secretaries who, in theory, would know their agencies best.
Aaron, thank you for that. Okay, Sam, there's a lot to deconstruct here, but let me start with this. I don't know how clearly that message, or whatever the message was clear to members of the cabinet. Here's what we do know. Elon Musk has the president's ear. Just this week, his PAC spent, I think, $1 million on ads saying, thank you, Mr. President. You're doing a great job. And he also controls a little thing called X, which could be used against any individual member of the cabinet. Where does that leave them? Where are we in all this? What are you hearing?
Well, that certainly hangs over all of this. In this New York Times story, for instance, it's reported that several other cabinet officials were inclined to speak up against Musk and in support of Rubio and Duffy. But they were almost worried to a degree at the way that Musk both reacted to Rubio and, frankly, by the fact that Musk is the richest person in the world, has shown that he's willing to spend prodigiously in politics, and controls X, a platform where much of the political discourse is playing out in real time. And so, yeah, that is a threat unlike anything we've seen politically before. It used to be that it was Trump who was the one who could threaten these people, but now it's obviously Trump and Musk himself. So, you know, this does color things. Ultimately, I don't know where this leads us, right? I mean, it's an extraordinary moment to have actual cabinet secretaries in a cabinet meeting having to defend their turf from an unelected official who's been empowered by the president to basically dismantle government. This is just really extraordinary times, and sometimes we lose that in these discussions over these micro dramas between these individual personalities.
And the other thing, frankly, is it has been, let's call it a whirlwind series of weeks if you work for the federal government. You know, do I have a job? Don't I have a job? Oh, I got fired. Oh, they just called me back. What are you hearing about that? Because, you know, we played earlier a couple of the Republican senators who are very concerned about the impact in their states of this back and forth on tariffs. But employees, there are federal employees all across the country.
Yeah, now this I've heard from dozens upon dozens of employees and lawmakers and advocates. And the impact of these indiscriminate cuts is profound. And you can tell because some of these cuts they've had to reverse, right? I mean, when you go and fire the nuclear weapons and waste specialists out in Los Alamos, and then you realize, oh my God, this could be bad, you have to rehire them. And it's not always easy to rehire people. So I talked to some officials who work in overseas foreign aid operations, treating things like Ebola and malaria, right? And they have had to shed staff as this freeze has happened. And then suddenly they get word that, no, in fact, you can actually spend this money. This is critical aid, and we should go forward. Well, they've already fired the staffers. And not only that, there are other agencies and groups that they depend on to effectuate their mission that have not been given the green light to go forward. So this is all compounding problems. And then you get to the personnel. And this is where it really gets sad almost. Not sad, almost sad. I've talked to countless people who've lost their jobs, and their jobs were their livelihoods. We talked to one person whose wife and he both work for the government, and she lost the job, and he was a probationary employee waiting to see if he would be fired. Imagine in the span of a month, having both sets of income just disappear. This is stories that are happening all across the country.
Sam Stein, more to come on this. Thank you.